guys, my name is Sarah. This is my introduction video part 1. I took some notes so I can keep myself on track, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. So I was born in a small silver mining town in North Idaho. My family worked in the mining industry for multiple generations, and when I was in 3rd grade we started moving around a lot due to my dad working for a contract mining company. And that company won contracts all over the Pacific Northwest, and so from then on, every 6 months to 2 years, we would move from one place to the next, all the way up until when I graduated high school. I had a pretty utopian childhood, in my opinion. My parents were great, and I had a horse and a piano. What more could a girl want after that? I also had 2 older sisters, so I'm the youngest of 3, and I was a tomboy growing up. My dad had me on my first dirt bike, a Honda 50 motorcycle, by the time I was 5 years old. I really loved living in the country and spending time outdoors in nature and with animals, and I enjoyed doing all of the outside chores with my dad, chopping and stacking wood, feeding animals, cleaning pens, even shoveling snow. But I also loved cooking from scratch with my mom in the kitchen. She taught me how to make homemade bread and cinnamon rolls and much more. My parents didn't give us any handouts, mainly because they didn't have anything to give, but I didn't really feel poor. Most years our only gifts were our back to school items: papers, pens, notebooks, binders, backpack, and new clothes from Goodwill. But like I said, I never felt poor because we were always dressed well, and our clothes were clean and they were nice looking. And despite growing up buying all from thrift stores, despite buying everything from thrift stores, they still were clean and nice looking. I bought my first car at 14 years old by buying a young horse for $200, and I trained that horse and then sold him and was able to afford buying my own car. And in Montana at the time, driver's licenses were issued at age 15, not 16 like it is in most places throughout the U.S. I took my driver's test in Gardner, Montana, which is a very small town, at the Archway entrance to Yellowstone Park, and we had buffalo and elk herds simply wandering through town. One evening we came home to a buffalo napping right in front of our porch at our house, and so we just had to sit there in the car and flash the lights and occasionally honk the horn until he finally became perturbed enough and got up and moved to a more quiet place to slumber for the night. Stinking humans, they're everywhere. Can't a buffalo just get a good night's sleep these days? Later we moved to Washington State, and I graduated high school at age 16 as one of 5 valedictorians out of a class of 600. I was able to test out of my junior year, which is why I was able to graduate so early, and essentially skipped it and went straight to my senior year. That last year of high school, I lived with my grandparents because my parents had to move on to yet another mining job in Salt Lake City. My dad at that time worked at the copper mines in Utah. And so after I graduated high school, I moved to Salt Lake City to be near my folks, and I was 16 years old. I had my own car, I'd paid my own rent, and I had a full-time job to support myself working at Nike and Sprint Communications. Life was good until I met someone and got married. And that's when things took a turn for the worse, but that's a tale for another time. So thanks for listening, and until then, we'll talk later.